So in part 1 of our Flutter and Firebase authentication, we have designed our login and registration screen. And now today, it's time to add Firebase to our project. Let me give you a brief intro upon what we'll be learning today. So we'll be doing form validation check, sending and receiving data using our cloud Firestore, and also catching various authentication errors. Excited, na? So without any further ado, let's get straight to our Visual Studio Code and start coding our application. Hello everyone and welcome to part 2 of our Flutter and Firebase authentication. In part 1 of this series, we have built this awesome UI design in which we have this login screen, then we have our sign up screen, and if we can go back to our login screen with this button, and also if I click on login, we will be redirected to our welcome page. So this was everything that we done till now. Now the main thing is we have to integrate Firebase to our project. So for integrating Firebase, we will go to our web browser. And here I will go to firebase.google.com. We can click on go to console, and now we will add a new project. I can write email password auth. Okay, we will disable Google Analytics. We don't need this. We'll just wait for a while for this to create the project for us. Okay, so we got our project created. Now we'll click on continue, and here we can see this Firebase project is created, and now the next step is we can integrate our application to Firebase. So how you can do that? For this tutorial I'm going with an Android version. Now in this register app section, here you can see first thing that it is asking is our Android package name. So how you can get that Android package name? First of all, you can go to a project, and here in your project you have to go to this Android app section, and in source there will be a main, and in this here we have our Android manifest file. If you have been an Android developer, then you might be knowing this file. Now here you can see we have the package name here, so I'll just copy and paste it here. And we can provide a name for our application. We will write email password authentication auth. And now it is asking for our SHA key. So how you can generate that? You can see is this question mark, and if I click on this link for see this page section, here we are provided with this authenticate your client section, and in which we will have our command to generate our SHA key. For Mac and Linux, you can copy and paste this command to your CMD in your terminal, and if you are on a Windows, then you can copy and paste this command in your CMD. So let's copy and paste this command to our terminal. We'll open up a new terminal window, because in the previous terminal window we have our Flutter app running. So we'll just copy and paste it this and paste here. So it will ask for an Android key store password. All the Android key store password generally is an Android. In this will be the Android password. Okay, now here you can see we have this SHA key, so I'll just copy and I'll just paste this here. Okay, so this will register the app for us. We'll just wait for a while. Okay, we got our app registered. Now the next step is we have to download the config file. So just click on download Google services.json file. Let's click on allow, and here we will go to our, we have to place this google.json file inside our app folder. So we can go to Visual Studio Code, and here we can just place it here. Okay, we have our google services.json file also placed here. Now we'll click on next, and the next step is we have to add Firebase SDK to our project. So how you can do that? So first you can see we have to add these command in this project level. So project level would be our Android. Okay, and here you can see we have this build.gradle, and the things that we need to add are, first is the class path. So you can go and search for this section class path. Okay, so actually we are in Android app and then build.gradle. We have to go to the build.gradle of our project directory. So this will be the build.gradle of our project directory, and here we can just copy and paste it. And the next step is we need to go to the app level build.gradle. So we'll just go to app Now we'll go to build.gradle and we'll copy this command, apply plugin, paste it here, and the next thing is we have to copy this also. Okay, we'll paste it here. Now we can just click on save. You can save everything. Okay, now we can click on next, and we got our app added to our Firebase. I don't have Xcode in my Mac for now, but I will also show you how you can integrate Xcode to your Firebase. We'll click on this iOS section. We'll click on this iOS section, and here it is asking for our iOS bundle ID. You can go to your iOS folder, and here you can see we have this runner.xcode. You can click on this project, and here we will search for bundle ID. You can just remove all this. Here you can see project bundle identifier. So this is com.example.email password login. We'll copy, we'll paste it here. We'll like email password auth. Register app. We'll download Google services file, where we have to place this in below the info.plist file. We'll go here, runner. We'll just paste it in this section. Okay, now we'll click on next. We don't need to all integrate this, as we don't have our iOS simulator, so we will not be running the application on iOS, but rather we'll be focusing more on Android. Okay, so we got everything set up. We got our Firebase set up with our project. Now the next step is we need to enable authentication for us. So here in our email password authentication, we'll click on this get started button. You can close this thing, and now here you can see we have this email and password. So we'll click on enable, and we'll click on save. Okay, so this got enabled, and in authentication in users, we don't have any user for this project yet, so we'll be creating more. So we'll be creating that right now. We are in our Visual Studio Code. Now we can start coding our application. Okay, so we are in our login screen. In our login screen, in part 1, we have created this email field, then our password field, then we have a login button, then our scaffold which will contain the design for our field. So now next most important thing is we have to add all the packages to our project. How you can do that? You can go to your web browser again, and here in your web browser you have to go to this website, and here we have to search for different packages. First package would be Cloud Firestore. Okay, we'll just open this in a new terminal, in a new tab, and also the next package is an Firebase authentication. We'll open this also, and the next is a Firebase core. We will open this also, and other thing is we have to add this FlutterToast also for showing any error that occurs while authenticating the user. Okay, so now let me show you one quick tip. Here you can see in our Visual Studio Code we have this extension section where I have added this PubSpec Assist extension. So now what this PubSpec Assist do for us is, let's say I am in my login screen. Let me just close this. Now let's say I am in my login screen and I wanted to add a package to my project. How you can do that? I can just press Command Shift and P, and this is Control Shift and P in Windows. So let me just type add dependencies. So here you can see it will ask for adding a dependency. We'll click on yes. Let's say I write Cloud Firestore. So I'll click on enter, and this will add that Cloud Firestore to our PubSpec file. So let me just go to my PubSpec YAML file, and here as you can see we got this Cloud Firestore added with the latest version. So this will help you for not searching the whole internet and then going to this installing tab and copying the dependency and then pasting. So this is just a quick tip. And now let's add other packages also. So I'll just speed forward the video for you. Okay, so we got this working and everything is fine. Now one more important thing is we can go to our Why is it showing error? Don't know why is this showing error to me. We can also delete our web folder. We don't need this. Now, what is this? This is for our web. We will delete this also generated plugin. Now we have everything. Okay, just one more important thing is we can go to our app and here build.gradle, and we can change the minimum SDK version to be 21 so that it don't cause any issue to us. Okay, so we are fine. Now let us go here to our login screen, and here we will call our Firebase. How you can write that? We will write final authentication. This we can write Firebase Auth dot instance. We'll just remove this. Okay, here we have called our variable. Now the most important thing is we have to write this validator thing for our email field. So we will write validator. This will be of this will return a value. This will have a value as we did in this on saved thing. Now what we can do is, let's say if the value is empty, if there is no value in this email field, then we will return please enter your email. Okay, and here I have to write return, and here I have to close this thing. This will be okay. Also, I am writing a regex expression for email validation. Okay, so I'll be just copying it, and so I'll be just copying it from my project, and I'll just paste it here, so that because this is something I cannot type here for you, I'll be providing this into the description, or also you can see this from our source code. So I'll just copy this, and here you will write has match. This will be the value. If this matches with this expression, then we will return please enter a valid email. Why is it showing me an error? Okay, so this is our email field, and if there is nothing, we will return a null. Okay, and here we got our email field. Then we will also do the validator in our password field also. We can just write validator. This will be value, and here we can just write a comma here. And now we also need to provide another expression. So we will write regex expression new regex. As you've seen in the showcase of the tutorial, there will be a validation for entering the number of characters. Minimum 6 characters are required for Firebase to create an account with email and password. So we'll be creating an reg expression in which we will ask for our user to enter minimum value of, let's say, 6. So how you can do that? We'll go here, we will type this thing, and now let's say if value is empty. If the value is empty, we will return rather please enter your password, and or rather we can return if password is required for login. Okay, and else if there is a match for this expression, then we can do is, if this expression has a match, then we can write value and we will return please enter password, please enter valid password, minimum 6 characters. Okay, so this is our validator for our password field. We also have here we have a login button, we have a scaffold. Now the next thing is we have to create this login function. How you can do that is login function. Now we will write void sign-in, and the sign-in function will have an string email and a string password. This will be an async function, and here if our form key dot current state dot validate, if the validation is okay, only then we will execute this command. Okay, I guess this is current state. Try getting current state. Okay, now as this is an async function, so we will write await. Here we will write auth. Auth is the value that we created below our text editing controller. So here we can write auth dot, we will have to sign in our user, so we will write sign in with email and password, and here in this email we will write email, and in password this is password is okay. Now we will write then if the login is successful, then we will pass this value UID, user ID, and here we can write this, and here what we need to do is, we will call our FlutterToast. Here we will call our FlutterToast and show this toast as login successful. Okay, login successful. Now we can go. I think this we have to import the library. Just click here. Why is it not showing me that button? Okay, we'll import the package. Now when our login is successful, what we have to do is we will call our navigator, and here we will write off context, and this will be push replacement, and we will push the replacement. We will write material page root, and here we will have our builder. With builder we will provide the context, and we will redirect our user to our home screen. So we will write home screen, we'll click here. Now this is something when our login is successful. What if we catch some error? How you can catch error? So we'll write catch error. Here let's say we have our error name as E, so we will be displaying that error in our toast. Here we will write FlutterToast dot show toast, and in message we will have our message as our error we have to write this also exclamation because of null safety, and this will be our message. So this was everything for our login screen. I guess we have some issue here. Let me just see. Why is it showing me this error? Okay. Now this is our function. We have to assign the function to our login button. In part 1 of this tutorial, we have implemented the on-press function for this button to go to our home screen because we wanted to show the user the design for our home screen. But now we will just remove that, and what we have to do is with on-press we will write sign in, and we have to pass our email controller dot text, and now here we will write our password controller dot text, and we'll press create and we'll write a comma here. Okay, now when we click on save, so everything is okay here. Now let me just go to my terminal. We can close this thing because we have already generated our key. Now this is the application that we are running, so I'll click on hot restart for this app, or rather I will just restart the application again because we have also changed the minimum SDK version, so for everything to work properly. Okay, so it is showing me a no Firebase app has been created. Why is this issue? How you can solve this? Now for solving this issue, what we can do is you need to go to your main.dart file. Let me go to my main.dart file, and here in our main.dart file what we have to do is we will create, here we can write future void main and a async function, and in this we will write widgets flutter binding dot ensure initialize. Now we have to initialize our Firebase, so I'll write Firebase dot initialize app, and this will be run app. Okay, now you can click on save, and we will just quit our application once, and we will run the app again. So I'll just speed forward the video for you. Okay, so we run our application, and now here you can see we have our login screen. This is email, password, and a login button. So if I click on login button for now, as these two fields are empty, so it will display as please enter your email and password is required for login. So let's say I write any account, let's say I write me@gmail123. So it will ask for a minimum of 6 characters. So we can just change this because it is not, this is a pretty lengthy text, so we can write enter valid password, and this will be minimum 6 characters. So let me just save this thing, and let me hot reload the application. So here is my mail, minimum 6 character. Okay, and now let's say I just click on login, so it will display as there is no user record corresponding to this email. Now let me go to my Firebase, as we have added the login to our application, but we don't have any users for now. So let's say I create a new user, and let's say I write test@gmail.com, and the password would be 123456. So I'll add this user, and now let me go to my application. In here, let's say I enter test@gmail.com and 123456. Let's say I enter this. So the password is invalid for the user. So what our Firebase did was it detected that there is a user with this email, but the password that we are entering is not correct. So let's say I enter correct password 123456. So this will log in to the app. Okay, so our login is done. Now it's time to integrate registration for our application. We can just close everything from here. This is working. Now if I click on sign up, and this is a registration screen, Now on the registration screen, what we will be doing is we will be taking the data from user and saving that data in our cloud Firestore so that we can access that data in our home screen. Remember our home screen where we have to fetch the data from our database. So for doing that, we will be creating model. We'll have to create some user model which would help us to integrate this thing. So now let's say I'm here on my registration screen. Now we will go to this library and here we will create a new folder and we will write this as model, and here we will have to create our user model. So we will write user model dot. So we have to start coding our user model. What our user model would be, it will be a class user model. This will have some values like string of user ID, string of email, string of our first name, and a string of our second name. Okay, now let me show you before coding this thing, let me just show you another thing. As you can see, we have this Firestore database. You just wait for a while. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to create database and we will start in production mode. We'll click on enable. So this will enable the cloud Firestore for this project. So just wait for a while. Okay, so here we got our cloud Firestore created. Now what we'll be doing is we will be creating a collection and we will write the name of this collection as users. In this collection, what we will have is we will have a document ID. Let's say I have this user ID, and there will be some field like first field would be our email. So let's say I enter email@gmail.com. I'm doing this just to show you the structure of this, and here it would be next thing we need is an first name. So we will write first name. This would be name. This will be rather first name. And we will get second name, we will write second name, and we are also getting this value user ID, so we will write our user ID also. So now let us click on save. So what our Firestore will do is for every user which is getting added to our authentication section, let's say here you can see we have this user. Let me just open this thing. Here you can see we have this user test@gmail.com, and this will automatically generate a user ID for this. So whenever we store some data in our cloud Firestore, this will create a new entry here with that user ID, and it will have all this value like email of that person, first name, second name, and the user ID. And from where that values would be fetched, these values would be fetched from our registration screen. Let's say I enter first name, so it will go to our cloud Firestore. It will create a new entry for that user ID, and in that user ID it will have these values: email, first name, second name, and the user ID, so that we can fetch them later in our home screen. Now let me go to my Visual Studio Code, and here we have to create this model, because this model will help us to send and pass data to our registration screen. So how you can do that? We will write user model. So this would be this dot user ID, and here it would be this dot email, and here it would be this dot first name, and the last thing would be this dot second name. We'll close this. Okay. Okay. Now we'll be taking our data from the server. So how? So we have to create a map with that data. We'll write user model dot from map. We'll create a new map, and we will return user model with these values. Like first value would be user ID. We will write map, and we will write a user ID. Then the second value we will need is an email, so we'll write map and then it will be email. And the third would be a first name, so it will write first name. This will be our first name. Okay, I'm just making an error here. This will be first name, and the last would be second name. So I'll write second name. This will have a new second name. Okay. Okay, I have to write map here. I'm writing this first name and second name here. Okay, so these are the data that we will be taking from server. That means we are going to access these data. And now next thing we have to do is we have to send some data to our server. Sending data to our server. Now we will write map. This will be of string and dynamic type. And here we will write to map. Okay, and we will return some values like user ID. So this will be user ID. Then we will have our email. This will be email. Then we will have our first name. This will be first name. Then we will have our second name. This will be second name. Okay. Now you can see we have our user model created with these values: user ID, email, first name, second name. And now, so we can receive the data from our server, and we can also send the data from our to our server. But now let me just do one thing. As now you can see we are sending and receiving our data to the server. We also need to add this rule to our Cloud Firestore that we have to accept the data and also provide the data. So here you just have to make one change. Let me show you. Here you have to just write this. We will write here if request dot auth is not equal to null. Only then we will be allowing our user to publish something. We can just save this. We'll write publish. Okay, so this publish the changes for us. Here you can see we have our Cloud Firestore, and now we have to go to a registration screen for creating the method from which we can register the data, the user to our database. So here you can see, let me also open up my device. Now in our registration screen, what we have to do is first we will be creating a function as we did in login screen. So here we will write void signup. This will be string email, string password. This will be an async function as we did earlier. And here if form key dot current state dot validate. We also need to add validation to our field, so we'll be doing that in just a while. So we will go to our fields and we have to provide some validation here as we did in our login screen. So let me just see. This is our first name. Now we want our first name to be of minimum 3 characters. So how you can do that? We can just go to our login screen, and the same method that we implemented for password would be here. We will call that here also. We'll just copy and we will paste it in this validator section. Okay. Now here you can see we have this. So for accepting minimum character 3, we will change this value from 6 to 3, and if this is an empty, then we will write first name cannot be empty. Okay. And if this expression matches this value, then we will write enter valid name minimum 3 characters. Okay. Now we can just copy this thing again and we'll paste this in our second name also. We'll write second name cannot be empty, and here enter valid name minimum 3 character. We can remove this minimum value for 3 character in this, because many people have their second name with of this value of minimum character this. And also we will return null if nothing found. Okay, we got our first name done, we got our second name done. Now it's the time for email field. We can just copy this from our login button. We'll just copy this and paste it here. Okay, and for our password field we can just again copy this thing. For our password we can just copy paste this here. Minimum 6 character. Now the main thing is we have to check this validation for our confirm password. How you can do that? We'll just go to our confirm password thing. In here we will have to do a validation and write validator for a value, let's say, and here if password text editing controller, why is it not showing me? Password editing controller dot text is text dot length is greater than 6 and password, here we will write if confirm password text editing controller text is greater than 6 and confirm and password text editing controller dot text is not equal to value, then we will return password don't match, else we will return null. Now let me just save the application, and here I will restart the app. Okay, so we got our app restarted. Here we have our login section. We will go to our sign up. Let's say I enter any name. Let's say our Gmail. Let's say I enter 3 character. But we haven't added any on press to this thing. So how you can do that? So now we will save everything up and we will go to our sign up function, and here if form key is, and if the validation of form key is successful, then we will await for authentication. We have to add this value also, auth, because we haven't defined it here. So how you can do that? We'll write final auth is equal to Firebase Auth dot instance. So this we have to call our Firebase Auth also. Okay, now we can go to await.auth. We will write create with email and password, and here we will write email and password. Then we will write then value, we will just post these value to our Firestore. Details to Firestore. We'll be creating this function, just wait for a while. We'll write this here, and here we can do what we can do is we will write catch error, and we will write an error name as E, and this will become FlutterToast dot show toast, and here we can write message, and message will be E dot message as we did in a login screen. Now we can just save this here. We have to also import our FlutterToast, I guess. Yes, we will import this package also. It is showing us an error for this, so we'll be creating this function post details to Firestore, and this will be an async function. So we'll just create this in a while. Okay. Now what we need to do is we'll be creating this function. So for creating this function, what we'll be doing is we'll be calling our Firestore, then calling our user model, and then we'll be sending these values. So first of all, we'll be calling our Firestore. We'll write Firebase Firestore, and we will write Firebase Firestore, and here we will write Firebase Firestore, dot instance. So we called our Firebase, and we will write user, and then user, and we will authenticate, we will fetch the, and we will write this as our current user, and then we will write this as our current user. Now we will also call our user model class that we created. We'll write user model. This would be user. Okay. Why is it not importing the package? Import library user model. Okay. Now we will be writing all the values. How you can do that? We will write user model dot email. It would be user that we have our current user, and we will write email. Then we will write user model dot uid. Then user ID would be user dot uid. Okay. Now also let's say you write user model dot first name. This will be our first name text editing controller. Why is it not showing first name controller anything? Okay. And now the next thing is our last name, second name rather. We'll write second. Why is it not showing here? Second name editing controller dot text. And what is the issue here? Okay. So these are all the values that we'll be writing to our database. Now the final thing is our Firebase Firestore. Firebase Firestore. This will go to our collection which we created. This will create a collection users rather, and in that it will add this document. It will go to this document ID. It will go to this document ID where it will set these values, and we will call our map which we created for sending the values to map. Okay. Here we will also display a Flutter toast which will show us account created successfully. We can write this. Now we will push and remove until this will be context, and here we will write up root as material page root, and this will be context, and here it will have will go to our home screen. We can go to there and write. Okay, so we got our Cloud Firestore also completed, and now the final thing is we have to assign this function SignUp to our button. We can go here in a SignUp button, and here in onPress we will be writing this function SignUp, and it will take two values. So I will write email text editing controller. So it will be email editing controller. What's the name? Okay, email text editing controller. Then this would be password editing controller dot text. So this is our registration screen. Now let's hot restart our application and see whether everything is working or not. Okay, here you can see we have our login screen. So let me just write any random @gmail 123. This is working. Let's say write 1 2 3 4 5 6. There is no user corresponding to this identifier, so we'll be creating a new user with this. So I will go random user random @gmail, let's say gmail.com, or let's say I write 1 2 3 here and I click on sign up. So it is asking a minimum of 6 characters. I'll write 1 2 3 4 5 6. Let's say I write 1 2 3 and press sign up. I guess this confirm password is causing us an error. So you can just give me a minute. I'll be fixing this thing. Okay, so I fixed the error for you. Here in our confirm password, what we did wrong was, in this validator we will be taking the value of our confirm password field in this variable value. So we, instead of writing this confirm password editing controller, we have to write password editing controller. And if our password editing controller will have a length of more than 6 and it will be .text, if this will have a length of more than 6 and also this will have, if this value is not equal to our value of confirm password, then we will display password do not match and we cannot continue for our registration. So let me just save this. I'll click on save, and here I will hot restart my application. Now we got our app hot restarted. We will create a new user. We will write user second @hotmail. Let's say I enter a password 1 2 3 4 5 6, and here I enter a password 1 2 3. If I click on sign up, then if I click on sign up, this will display the password don't match. So we'll write 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now if I click on sign up, here you can see we got our account created with we are also displayed with this Toast library. Now let me just go to my Firebase, and here in our Firebase you can see we'll go to this authentication section, and here we have created this user @hotmail.com, and this is the user ID for that user. Let me just copy the user ID, and here if I go to Firestore database, then what our Firestore database did was, it has went to this section. It has went to this collection users, and here in collection, let me just see this. It is starting with YGO. So this is the user that we just created, and here we have these field user @hotmail.com. First name would be user, second name would be second, and this is the user ID. So this is everything that we wanted to do with our Cloud Firestore. Now the last and the final step is we want to take all these first name and the second name to our home screen. Let me just show you. So what we want is, we want our Flutter command to do is, it will take this name, it will take this first name, it will take the first name and second name, and then it will show this it will show us here, and also it will show us our email and our logout button. So now let me just go to my Visual Studio Code. So our registration screen is done, our login screen is done. Now we have to go to our home screen. In our home screen, what we can do is, we'll just go to our home screen, and here we will write user, as we have implemented this earlier. So I will not be explaining all this again. So I'll write instance.current user. We will fetch the current user, and here let me just import this. Let me also, okay, so this got imported. Now we will also import our user model. We will write user model. This will be user model. If you want for reference, we can change this. We will write logged in user. Okay, we will also import this package. So these two got imported. So these parameter got set. Now what we can do is we will create an init state, and here in our init state we can go with this Firebase Firestore dot instance, and here we will go to our collection and take this users, and then we write doc, then we will go with this user dot uid, and after getting that uid we will get all the values, and we will store that all those values in our map, the map that we created. We will write then values, we'll write here value, this will become like this logged in user, and here in our this will be value, and here we will write this dot logged in user, and this will go to our user model, and we will call our map that we created. We'll place all these value in our map and write set state. Why is it showing me an error? Let me just check. This will be like this. This will be value. Okay, now this will be set state. That's all. So we will initialize our Firebase Firestore. When our home screen is called, the first thing that we'll be doing is we will initialize our Firebase Firestore in our home screen. Now we can go here and we will just go to our text section, and here we have written these values. Now we can just open this, and here we have written these values for name and then email. So I will write, in place of name I will write logged, what was that value, logged in user. It will be logged in user dot first name, and then we will write the second name also. It will logged in user dot second name, and then okay first, then we will be coding for our Firestore. This will be logged in user dot email. Okay, now we got the structure done, and here in our action chip here we will create a new function. We will write this function as future logout. This will be a build context async, and here we will await for auth.signout. And here what we can do is we'll go to our Firebase Auth dot instance, and we will write signout. Okay, and after that we'll pass our navigator to our login screen. So push replacement, and here it will be context push replacement. This will be push replacement, and here it will be material page root. In our builder will be context, and our page will be login screen. Now I'll click on import so that it can import this value, and this is showing me an error because I mispronounced the spelling. Okay, now we'll go to this on press, and here in on press we will write logout context. Okay, fine. Now let me just Now we just save, and now we will restart our application. Okay, so here you can see we have a login screen. Now let's say I will log in with that user which I created. I will write user1@gmail.com 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, there is no user with this record. Let me see what was the username. User2. It was user2@hotmail.com and password was 1 2 3 4 5 6. So now let me just change this to user2@hotmail.com, and here I will write the password was 1 2 3 4 5 6. I'll click on login, and this will login successful, and it will show us user2nd@hotmail.com. and now if I click on logout, I'll be also redirected to this login page again. So this was everything for this Firebase and Flutter authentication with email and password. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe the channel and hit that bell notification for latest video.